breaking barriers and bridging the gaps between patients and doctors. Welcome to Brainstorming with the Docs and your co-hosts, Dr. Glenn Harrison and Dr. Kolby Condos.
All right, everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Brainstorming with the Docs. I'm Dr. Kolby Condos, my co-host and good friend, Dr. Glenn Harrison.
Hey, man, I'm ready.
You're ready for this one? This is a question we get so many times a year. I cannot even I couldn't even tell you. I should probably start keeping count because it's very common, which I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, what do you have a tavern open now or what do you have?
No, I don't. Maybe I should with the amount that I get asked this, but so today we were talking about a really common question in our offices. And that's, hey, what's the safest and healthiest alcohol I should be drinking? So if this is something that interests you, or this is something that you've thought about often, then
before the holidays,
hit like and subscribe and turn on notifications because we're going to continue to roll out new content each and every week. And if you like stuff like this, we can do stuff like this.
And it's not all about alcohol.
No, and it's not all about alcohol either. Hit like and subscribe, turn on notifications because we're going to keep rolling it out. So without further ado, one of the really common questions in our clinics: what is the healthiest alcohol consume?
Yeah. And I think maybe the reason why it's so important is we got to be honest, right? We're always talking about health. We're always trying to do the right thing and feel the best. But we're all humans and alcohol and, the beverage industry is everywhere. So, completely abstaining from it isn't always the answer or even an option, really, in some circles, in many circles, especially if you're in Ireland, but no. So it's important. It's an important conversation to have and try to dissect. Is there something better or worse with regards to, is there a better or worse poison out there? So we're going to try to give you the better poison. So that's why it's, it's almost impossible to avoid vacations and social events. And it's really everywhere. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people use it as a form of decompression. So, maybe there's a way to have a less poisonous poison if you're going to decompression, right? That's really what it is. I always laugh. Humans are the only mammal who willingly decides to poison themselves, really,
And it's not just with alcohol.
Yeah, we're supposed to be the smartest, no, we aren't. No, we voluntarily.
Not in this
time.
Not in this faculty anyways.
Yeah. So that's some of the reasons why I think it's so important. Now, now we got to really be real. And what are the problems with alcohol? So then people are listening to this and they, maybe they want to lose a bunch of weight, but they're trying to find more healthy alcohol, if that's even a thing. They should be aware. So do you want to get into some of the problems with alcohol?
Yeah, big problems with alcohol, right? So blood sugar spikes. You can see this when, you're drinking your margarita or whatever you're choosing to drink with your mixer. Something that is very sugary. Actually, a lot of alcohol is made out of, fermented sugar pretty much, or the carbohydrates in certain things, which is a sugar. When you look at it, a lot of people suffer from weight gain when they drink a lot. You can cause damage to your liver. You can cause cirrhosis, liver toxicity. It can be addictive. So if you're using it as a coping mechanism or something like that, maybe you need to reevaluate what you're using it for because it can, become very addictive. Can alter your sleep patterns because it can mess with your circadian rhythms. We went into sleep a little bit before as far as like sleep hygiene. That might be a good podcast to listen to if you are having issues with sleep. Can cause issues with, neurotransmitter imbalances and can cause vitamin deficiencies if it's severe enough. So it is a serious thing, especially if you're overindulging in it. That is not the premise of this podcast. Maybe it's something that we'll explore a little bit more in the future. But for this podcast, we're going to talk about what.
Yeah, we're officially the podcast of the Healthy Alcohol Podcast.
the official podcast of supporting the healthiest poison you can poison your body with.
So maybe it's important to touch on a little bit how this alcohol gets out of your body. Well, really, the liver is one of the biggest systems in the body, detoxification, to get it out of the body. So, any toxins in your body, add alcohol is just going to make it worse. It's just you're going to put another load on you're going to put another load on the liver. Now, I know this is maybe a your world when we start talking about the cerebellum. So I'll let you jump into that.
Yeah, so alcohol affects your cerebellum first. Your cerebellum is the area of your brain. It's kind of like that chunk that hangs off the back that kind of looks like a small butt. It
It's an anatomical term.
Yeah, but it's very gluteus. It looks like a small gluteus hanging off the back of your brain. And really what it does is it's responsible for like balance and coordination. Alcohol is really metabolized first there. That's why when you see things in the field sobriety tests are like, oh, can you stand on one foot and count backwards and quack like a duck? Can you follow my thumb? All these things are checking for, the severity of the intoxication because it affects your cerebellum first. So those are the two key points I think that we could kind of bring to it. It affects not only your liver, but also your brain. It goes through a bunch of other intermediates where it's, broken down into some not so awesome substances that can be deposited throughout your body. But obviously we don't care about that today because we're talking about the healthy version, right?
Yeah. The not as poisonous poison.
That's
okay.
Right.
So we got to really consider that when you're listening to this podcast or relaying the information that you hear. So
please don't tell your parents, like, I heard it off of the podcast and alcohol's healthy. I can drink.
Yeah, it was a natural medicine podcast, and we learned how to drink not as poisonous.
We learned to drink less toxic poison.
Yeah. So what is so the real reason why people are listening to this is what alcohol is going to be the healthiest? Well, again, hopefully we smash that up. It's not healthy alcohol. It's just maybe a little bit less poisonous, having less of a detrimental effect on yourself.
How's this? Let's phrase it this way. If you are going to drink, how can you choose something that is going to be less detrimental than everything else?
There we go. It's not going to put you in the grave as quickly.
Yeah, as quickly.
So
you're going to walk instead of sprint.
Yeah. So when you're drinking alcohol, I think the biggest thing is what are you mixing with it, right? As you're saying, Dr. Kolby, all the sugars and everything else. And another thing is alcohol that's made with grains, malt, rye, barley. Well, naturally, there's going to be more chemicals in them. There's going to be more inflammatory particulates, if you will, and it's going to lead to a whole host of other digestive issues and other toxins in the body, or even immune responses. So how pure is your alcohol? Really, purity is very important with alcohol, right? Just like your vitamins, that's purity. Another thing is, 100% distilled alcohol, 100% distilled, not 100% alcohol, 100% distilled alcohol will get rid of all of these particulates, and then you'll just be left with the crude, cold, hard, refined poison without the extra poison in it. So I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. So our suggestions. Oh God. Everything in moderation. That's
mm-hmm.
So our suggestion is, one of the big ones is tequila. It's made with like agave instead of sugar, distilled rigorously. Again, like you just said, 100% distilled alcohol. Again, considering what you're mixing it with. If you're having yourself like a daiquiri or margarita, you're getting a big old concentrated dose of sugar.
Yeah.
And consider eating when you're going to drink, especially if you're eating protein. This is going to help buffer out some of that significant blood sugar spike associated with the metabolizing of not only the alcohol, but the sugar.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you look at a lot of countries where they, alcohol is one of their 5 food groups, they never ever sit down anywhere. Food is always served with the alcohol. Always. It's just kind of a staple. So, yeah. But, so there, other things to consider. I know you talked about people who are having histamine intolerances and reactions to sulfates that you'll find in a lot of wine. So some people, they can drink other alcohol, but wine causes a problem from them. A lot of times it's the sulfates in the wine. So, I think when it comes to alcohol, we just have to have that real conversation. And we wanted to, chuckle about it as much, but really it is a poison. And sometimes we can't, there's a lot of pressures, and it's easier to follow something 90% of your health strategies if you know that you have a little bit of wiggle room once in a while. If it's going to happen, it might as well be the best choice that there is. So we want to just shine some light on that.
Yep, absolutely. So obviously make the most informed, best decision that you can. Kind of took the lighthearted approach to this, but like we talked about, like it is not very good for you. And there's a lot of people that do suffer with problems with it. So we don't want to make light of the situation, but it's something that we're really it's commonly asked of us.
Yeah.
So we figured that this would be something that would at least be able to put it out there in a format where a lot of people can see kind of what we tell our patients when we answer those questions. So,
yeah. So
if you got value out of this or you liked, so if you like this one and you got value out of this content, again, hit like and subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you'd like to reach out directly to us, whether that's with a question or a comment or a topic idea or something, we do have an email that you can reach us directly at, which is info@brainstormingwiththedocs.com. You can get on our websites. Our websites are www.northlakescheropractic.com and www.drgharrison.com. And stay tuned because we're going to continue to roll out new content each and every week, and you never know what might help you.
That's right. So, well, that was great, Dr. Kolby.
All right, buddy. Sounds good.
I hope you enjoy your birthday coming up, and I hope you, if you are going to, I hope it's very, very healthy alcohol.
Yeah, the less toxic toxins.
All right, we'll talk.
All right,
to you next
man.
time.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.